Hello, anyone not still living in the 1970s. We interrupt your day to bring you this announcement. Husker Ninja is in the building. Alright, guys, we are here with episode 3 of the Nebraska Cornhuskers Dynasty here on NCAA 14. Nebraska's got a bye week, and so what we're going to do is we'll take a look around the country and check stats so far in our recruiting board, alright? Now, last week's game, I realized the video ends up being over an hour long. So, for those of you who probably don't want to watch that, we're going to go over scoring summary and stuff here. And I would highly encourage you to watch at least the fourth quarter of that one. A reminder, check the descriptions for the start time of each quarter. It'll be like that in all my Dynasty videos and all my franchise videos. Anyway, we played Marshall, and basically we played a lot better than the score would have you believe. We had a couple turnovers in the red zone, a couple failed fourth and goal from the ones. We had a pick six negated by roughing the passer. And so it was 14-14 at halftime. And then Marshall scored with 28 seconds left in the third quarter after we had both gotten field goals. So the third quarter ends with Marshall ahead by 7. And then Marshall gets a touchdown less than a minute into the fourth quarter. So it's looking bad for Nebraska, right? They're down by 14. And then almost exactly a minute later, Nebraska gets a touchdown, Pearson out to Tommy Armstrong. And then they had an interception. And so, a minute after that, Amani Cross scored on a touchdown run. And all of a sudden, we're tied at 31. And 8 seconds after that, Daniel Davey, he picked off the pass, and it went 42 yards for a pick six. So basically, Nebraska made a 14-point fourth quarter comeback and won. A lot closer than personally I believe it should have been. So we'll check the top stories on ESPN right now. As you can see, Colorado upsets Oregon. They won 24-21. Oregon had a fourth quarter touchdown, but that was not enough, and so they lost. So there's one upset. That's a game for this week. Oh, Ohio State. Ohio State almost got upset at home, but they get a field goal with 13 seconds left to win it. Oklahoma destroyed West Virginia. 48-28 was the score in that one. Texas won 10-6 over Ole Miss. This is for this week. One of my team builder teams I made was Florida Gulf Coast, and so I put them into this dynasty for fun. I think they're replacing UAB. And Notre Dame beat Michigan by 24. We'll go ahead and check top 25 polls next. Not much change at the top. You got Ohio State, TCU, Bama, and Baylor as your top 4. Michigan State goes up a spot to number 5. USC goes up a spot to 6. Florida State's at 7. Georgia's up to number 8. UCLA goes up to number 9. Notre Dame's up to number 10. Clemson's up to 11. Arizona State moves up to 12. Georgia Tech's 13. Wisconsin's 14. Missouri 15. Arkansas 16. And Ole Miss dropped 6 spots from number 11 to number 17 after losing to Texas. Oregon drops all the way to number 18 after losing to Colorado. Mississippi State is 19. Oklahoma's 20. LSU's 21. Tennessee State's at 22. Stanford's at 23. Texas jumps up into the top 25. They're at number 24. And Auburn's at 25. Arizona dropped out of the top 25, so they must have lost. Receiving votes, we got Miami, Louisville, Oregon State, North Carolina State, BYU, Nebraska, Boise State, and Florida. And if we check the conference standings, oh yes, that's right. The Big Ten is different. I believe the ACC is actually correct, like, as in real life teams are where they should be. And I'm just going to scroll through, you can see their standings. Now we move on to the Coastal. And up next is the American, which we split into the East and West. And I believe I tried to make that one realistic. I don't really remember. But that's the Eastern. And here's the American Western Division. Yeah, because I put Navy in there, so I think Charlotte is actually a new team this upcoming year, and they're in the American. Actually, wait, no, they might be in a different division. Or a different conference, I mean, my bad. The Big 12 has 11 teams. We moved Indiana over to the Big 12 just because I don't know why we did that off the top of my head. But here's the Big 10 East. That one's actually correct. Oh, what we did was we just swapped out Colorado for Indiana. And Missouri we swapped out for Penn State. And both of those teams ended up in the West. So Purdue and Illinois got moved over to the East. And here's Conference USA. Just going through these smaller conferences quickly. I mean, it's not really a big deal. But at least that way I can be like, yeah, I'm going through all of them for you. Alright, the Pac-12, I betcha we put BYU in the South to make up for or Colorado moving. I betcha that's what we did, yeah. And the SEC, we put FGCU, Florida Gulf Coast, one of the team builder teams. They took Missouri's place. Alright, so with the exception of 5 teams, it's pretty realistic, I would like to think. We'll check Heisman Watch real quick. I mean, keep in mind it's only after, at most, teams would have played 2 games. But still, you never know. That way when we have a bye week later on in the year, we can see how much things have changed. Championship contenders. 4-year outlook, they have us 31st right now, and then number 1 the next 2 years and number 2 right there. That works for me. Players of the week. We can go ahead and do week 1 as well. In the NCAA, Justin Thomas and Dylan Bates. Justin Thomas and DeMarcus Walker were the ACC. Ezekiel Elliott and Michael Rose IV in the Big Ten. Actually, you know what? I don't care. We'll just skip to week 2. And we had Wes Lunt and Leroy Alexander. Those guys who are your Big Ten offensive and defensive players of the week this past week. Toughest places to play. Memorial Stadium we have is number 5 now. Alright, and stats, passing leaders. You can see Armstrong is 8th in the NCAA with 508 passing yards. Wes Lunt of Illinois is the leader so far, 740 passing yards. Rushing leaders, Amani Cross is also 8th, 281 yards for him. And the leader is tied Robinson of Auburn and Perkins of UCLA, both have 341. Receiving leaders, Mikey Dudek of Illinois has 320 receiving yards. White of Illinois has 247. And Westerkamp is 5th with 234 receiving yards. I believe most of those were this past week. Leroy Alexander and Michael Rose IV are 1st and 2nd. Actually, they're tied. They both have 14 solo tackles. Husky of Marshall is 1 behind them at 13. Sack leaders, we got David Santos. Through 2 games, he's averaging... that's average. He's got 5 sacks through 2 games. McMullen is 5th with 3 sacks. Daniel Davey is tied for 57th with 1 interception. I'm quite sure because, yeah. And Drew Brown is 20th in long field goals, basically. Oh, no, I don't want to exit right now. No, thank you. Alright. You know what? Let's see, just because I'm curious. How many yards did Westerkamp have? Yeah, he had 158 of his 240-some yards in this game. Monty Cross doing some work. Alright, that's enough of that. Now it's time to get into the recruiting. And basically, Husker Ninja and his staff have been doing some work. They've already got 5 commitments. I mentioned this in the week 2 game against Marshall, but we can go over them in depth kind of right here. We got Jeff Casey. He's a wideout out of West Palm Beach, Florida. They have him as the number 16 wideout in the class. He's a possession receiver. He's 6'2", 195 pounds. And if you take a look at his scouting, he's got 80 speed, 90 acceleration. That's pretty good. 78 jumping. And then his catching ratings are 80. Spectacular catch is 86. and his catching traffic is 76. So that's not too bad. He's going to make a nice addition to the receiving core, especially in a couple years when Westerkamp's gone. We got a guard, Philip Kaysen. He's out of Tyler, Texas. 6'3", 315 pounds. Both of these two are 4-star recruits. He's got pretty solid pass blocking. We've got Sam Young. He's a 4-star corner out of Kappa, Hawaii. The number 8 cornerback in the class. He's a bounce corner. 6 foot, 187 pounds. And his coverage stats are pretty good. He's got 80 man coverage, 81 zone coverage, and 91 press. And 93 speed. Now we got 2 athletes. The first one is Kyle Bobo. He's a 4-star athlete out of Vidalia, Georgia. The number 23 athlete in this class. 5'11", 226 pounds. If you take a look at his scouting, really I think he's probably a halfback. I mean, his catching ratings aren't that good. His coverage ratings aren't good. He can't throw. Can't tackle, so he'd probably be a running back. And we got T.J. Harrell, a JUCO sophomore out of San Juan, Texas. He's 6'5", 209 pounds. And this guy, he's very versatile. He's got 89 speed, 91 acceleration, 81 jumping. He can catch pretty well, so he could be a wideout. He could probably be a halfback. With that 92 carrying and 68 break tackle. Some good ball carrier vision. But he could also be probably a free or strong safety. Because they've got good pursuit, play recognition. Man coverage is decent, at least for safety wise, I think. Zone coverage is pretty good. And he can catch, so, you know, he could be on the defensive side. But those are the commits we've got right now. We're also targeting several other players. 12 of them, in fact. And we got max points on the ones we're down behind. Really want to try to get them up the list. And yeah. Well, anyway, that'll do it for this bye week update here.